80,000 people protesting for gay rights. What do you make of this show of force last night?
What I make of it is that Israel is basically, you know, if we were talking about the nation-state bill, but Israel is basically a very, very liberal country. And this show, this massive show of the Israeli public, these weren't only members of the LGBTQ community who came out to protest. There were people, all kinds of organizations, private companies, including this television station, if I'm not mistaken, allowed workers to go and protest. And the protest had to do with the fact that it's very interesting that Israel is a very child-oriented country. This was not only really a bill about gay rights exactly, it was a bill about, I mean, the protest was in protest of the fact that gay men will not be able to, in Israel, use a surrogate to have a baby in Israel. They've been able to do it outside of Israel. And the one thing I'd like to say, even though I support this demonstration, even though I have some hesitation or worry, concerns about women who will not, who want to sell their services as a uterus, who are poor, and that makes me.
That's another issue, but it's an important issue.
No, it's an important issue.
Yes, but I agree.
But that doesn't change the fact that if we're already going to allow it, then the men need to be allowed to do it.
Okay, what's your take, Samah?
Well, as an Arab-Palestinian neighbor for this massive, very impressive protest.
Yeah, 80,000 people didn't come out for the nation-state bill, did they?
No, for me, this is like a hypocrisy. This is like saying that we are with this quality and we are fighting for quality. It's not about the gay parents and the proud community. It's about quality and liberal space in Israel. But liberal quality have to be implemented also for the Arab citizen. So for me, this says that this community, and I'm with this struggle, as a feminist, as a human rights activist. But for me, it's like problem for the rich people, for people who are very well organized. So
you're for the struggle. Would you have gone, or did you go to that protest, or would
no.
And would you not have gone to that protest
because I need the same process in Rabin Square with the Palestinian and Israeli flags and protesting for my rights as minority here. And I want to see the same slogans with the equality and demand to democracy and liberal Israel.
But can't you support, even though I understand what you're saying, there's a hierarchy for you.
Yeah, this is priority.
Can't you come out for sometimes what's in the middle of that ladder? If it's right,
it was the same. The timing was miserable because it's the same day to have the same two disastrous laws in Israel, and I do think that we have to choose our battles.
Yeah.
Actually, the timing was not coincidental because the Knesset is going out to its summer.
No.
You can bring it up now, Amir Ohana.
Yes, no, not just because of Amir Ohana. It's because the Knesset is about to go to summer recess. So bills that were on the table that had to get passed, that dried very quickly, were passed. But what is beautiful about Israeli society, if I may say what's beautiful about it, because, I know we say, oh, rights and human rights and not human rights. Look at this. On the same day that there was this massive protest, there was also a huge amount of the country fasting for the for Tisha B'Av on the one hand, and the nation-state bill, and you are sitting in the studio criticizing it. That is what I call a beautiful, flourishing democracy, where we can fight it out, and we can fight it out in TV studios and in Rabin Square, and then we get on with it.
A flourishing democracy.
I don't think that I feel like I'm this flower in your very beautiful romantic, picture about the democracy. I'm suffering from this, and my freedom of speech is shrinking, and this kind of panel and this kind maybe will not be able to happen in a few years.
How is your freedom of speech shrinking? That's what I don't understand. Where did it shrink?
People were arrested in Israel because they post on Facebook. We have a poem that Darim Tatur, she's in jail for 2 years for one post. So yes, this is her freedom of speech. That you don't really suffer. So I don't want to be this Arab-Palestinian, activist in your democracy. No. I am suffering.
Meaning you feel like
as
a fig leaf
minority.
in a way.
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to be the fig leaf.
Yeah, I don't want to watch anything related to
Well,
Israel.
I would like to separate between the issue of the Palestinians
You have the
and
privilege
the
to
Arab.
separate. I don't have the privilege to separate anything from my oppression. I do not have this kind of privilege. I don't have this power.
You don't have the power. You just said that you're an activist and you demonstrate and
I work very hard
you
for
fight
20
for
years
and
for
you
that.
live.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And I think that this is
you're
my
in a
destiny.
TV studio.
Thank
and
God.
you're not in
Thank
jail.
You for inviting
you're not
me.
in jail. No,
thank you.
no, not
I'm
thank
not
you
in
for
jail. I have to thank God each morning.
No,
maybe I will go to the Kotel and maybe I will pray there to thank Israel for inviting me to this studio.
Okay.
No, what I meant is that your views are being voiced. They're not being hindered. That's what I meant about a TV studio.